So next up, we have a presentation from Anova Metals with the ticker code AWV. To tell us more about their gold exploration in Nevada, I will now hand you over to Executive Director Amanda Buckingham. Good afternoon, Amanda.
Good afternoon, Jane. Thank you for having me on.
Wonderful. Let me bring up your presentation.
So for those who don't know the Anova Metals story, we are a gold exploration company with an existing million-ounce gold resource in Nevada. By investing in Anova, you have exposure to arguably the two best provinces in the world for gold, Western Australia and Nevada, both in terms of endowment and license to operate. So our premier, or I suppose our flagship project, is in Nevada, and it's called the Big Springs project. And that's where we have the existing million-ounce resource. We also have a whole pipeline of targets, some drill ready, and we are actively exploring on the ground at Big Springs right now. Our secondary and very complementary project, the Warridar gold project, which we actually only agreed to acquire earlier this week. So it's been a very busy, exciting week at Anova. The Warridar gold project is in Western Australia. It is an early stage greenfields project, but it has high-grade drilling results from historic and recent drilling. So we've got a great set of two projects and a really good team to work on both those projects. Our board, tight, small, diverse, market cap about 22, 23 mil, plenty of scope to grow on the back of discoveries, and we're funded. We've got enough money to carry out the exploration at both our projects in WA and Nevada in the short to medium term. A few changes that are worth mentioning because they're very important in terms of the team that we've built. And I think you can't understate how important it is to have a strongly technical working team to explore these sort of projects. So I stepped in as MD at the beginning of July. I joined the board last October. I first became involved with Anova as a consultant. So I am a geophysicist. I came in with Steve Garwin to do a targeting study at Big Springs. And it was at that stage I recognised the value of the project and how much scope there is for serious discovery at Big Springs, and wanted to be part of it. I think the more important aspect of what we've done recently is we had recognised it was quite challenging exploring in Nevada from WA. So we have employed Steve McMillan, a very experienced Carlin geologist. He is our on-site exploration manager. He knows the lay of the land. He can deal with stakeholders. He's there. And it's already made a significant difference to how we operate. Now, before joining Anova, Steve worked for our competitor to the south, Jerritt Canyon, where he actually discovered 10 deposits for them. So I have told him he must do the same for us and then some. So it's great. We've got a superb team, we're funded, and we've got two great projects. I'll take us to Nevada first and on to the next. Before we look at Big Springs, and you can see where Big Springs sits on that map, it is worth just pausing and actually appreciating the size of the prize in Nevada. It is serious gold country. There is gold, I shouldn't say everywhere, but there is gold. And not only a lot of gold, there are giants. It is serious elephant country. If you look at the Carlin trend, which is labelled there, but you've got the Betsy Post deposit labelled in the bright orange. I think that 2011 was the end of production there. At that single deposit, there was 40 million ounces of gold produced. So we are in serious gold territory. Our belt, the Independence Trend, the one striking north-south, you can see there, the existing gold mining complex is called Jerritt. Now, since 1981, Jerritt Canyon has produced over 10 million ounces of gold. Now, our tenure abuts the Jerritt Canyon tenure. We are direct neighbours. There's been a lot of exploration at Jerritt Canyon, hardly any systematic modern exploration at our tenement, apart from the northern area where we have the existing million-ounce resource. So there is serious potential for additional gold resources on our ground. Another advantage of being right next to Jerritt Canyon is they have a roaster that our ore is compatible with. So we've got access to a mill, we've got a well-endowed belt, and we've got a prime land holding in that belt right next to Jerritt Canyon. Jerritt Canyon is held by First Majestic. I think they have a current market cap of about 2.75 billion, which is also something to aspire to. Moving into our particular project. So the Big Springs project, it was actually producing until 93. Since then, the current Anova management team took over in about 2020. We applied what I believe to be the right strategy. We collected the right data. We carried out optimized, very well-constrained targeting. And we have a whole pipeline of targets across our tenure. Now, most of them have not yet been drill tested, and that's what we're working towards at the moment. In the last 2 years, next slide, please. In the last 2 years, we've been drilling around the existing deposit. And what we would like to do in the next drill season next year is actually expand that and drill test some of these high priority targets that we have defined and optimized over the last few years. It is worth just having a look at the history of Big Springs. And I know there's just a lot of words on a page, but there's been a huge amount of work done. And we're at the stage now where we're leveraging off all the work that has gone before us, and we're leveraging off the optimized targeting that has been done. And the fact that most of the ground has not been explored, and we have drill-ready targets that we will systematically work through over the next year and a half. I wanted to show this example because I've mentioned several times that we did a targeting study. And this was the first time that we drill tested one of the targets from the study. And it came in. It was one of our discoveries from last year. So we carried out the targeting study. We identified this crusher zone south as a structural intersection. We did the mapping on site and identified the appropriate Carlin style alteration. We drilled it. We got 27 meters at 2.4 grams, and we identified sulfide alteration. So we've got a tool. We can use IP to look for more sulfide mineralization. The whole process has been validated. This is exactly what we're going to do across the broader tenement in terms of following up and drilling our additional targets. So what are we doing this year at Big Springs? There's actually a lot happening. We've got Steve on site. We actually applied for some new claims where we had some good geochemical anomalies from last year's work. We have done a trial IP survey. The results were very encouraging. We're currently doing a soil sampling program down at our Golden Dome prospect. You can see that in the southern part of the tenure labelled. And our young geologist, Kyle, is out mapping. And by that, I mean all the targets that we would like to drill, we're doing on-site mapping to look for indications, jasperoid alteration, the right Carlin-style alteration and rock types to just refine and optimise those drill targets. Actually, that's Kyle in the photo there on the left. He's young, he's fit, he's out mapping for us. And you can see on the right, I'm just showing one line of our IP results. The reason I show this is that that line was collected over the South Sami deposit, the high-grade part of our existing resource. And you can see bottom right, there's a clear red blob. What that means is that the IP has worked in the sense that it is directly detecting the disseminated sulfides associated with our mineralisation, just giving us a nice tool that we can use and apply across the broader tenement package to look for more disseminated sulfides. At the moment, we're doing quite an extensive soil sampling program at the Golden Dome prospect. Now, this area is looking really interesting. We have recently mapped the Royal We, it's actually Kyle out in the field. We've mapped lower plate rocks outcropping at Golden Dome. Now, they are the rocks that host the gold at Jerritt Canyon to the south. There's 10 million ounces of gold at Jerritt Canyon, and we've got the same rocks outcropping at Golden Dome. We've got structures that come from Jerritt Canyon up through our tenure, We've got very limited historic drilling. We've basically got this underexplored area with great soils, the right alteration, the right rocks, the right structures, undrilled. So we will be focusing more on Golden Dome, in the next 18 months. It's turning out to be a very promising prospect. Moving on to WA, hot off the press. Our team is very excited. So we have agreed to acquire the Warridar project. We actually were looking for quite a while, and we had quite stringent criteria in terms of what style of deposits or ground we would like to pick up. So we wanted the area to be a proven area, sitting in the right neighbourhood. We wanted to make sure gold had travelled through the rock. So this area, it has historic, shallow, high-grade gold. It has ore-grade historic gold. So it's, when you're looking for gold, one of the key criteria, you need gold to have travelled through the rocks. And, whether or not it stops in a certain location depends on the other conditions. But this project is fertile for gold, and we've got really great historic and recent results. But it also ticks the box of being relatively underexplored. So there's significant potential for uplift and realising the value here. And for a company like Anova, a significant discovery is really important. It's the primary path to really increasing value for our shareholders. And that's what we are focused on. We have a very technically sound, experienced management team focused on discovery at both Warridar and Big Springs. The prospects. There are 3 main prospects at Warridar. The one that we are going to focus on is the most westerly, the Reeds Ridge to Commodore prospect area. And there's a significant shear running through there. You've got shallow, high-grade gold, drilling results by Red Dirt last year that were very encouraging. Most of the area has not been drilled. We've got intrusive, porphyry intrusives coming up into the shear. We've got a great model for gold, and actually not just gold. If you look at our neighbourhood, we've got copper. It's really a polymetallic play here. And that's what I'll be, as a geophysicist, I love a bit of copper as well. So to me, it's very much a copper gold play. And then we've got Lang's Find and the other prospects that we will also follow up. But our focus will be on Reeds Ridge and Commodore immediately. So where are we at? I would say Anova is in a fantastic position. We've got a really strong technical team, a good board with good corporate experience. We've got 2 great projects in Tier 1 gold provinces. We've got funds to explore about both our projects, an established million-ounce resource in Nevada. And I think most importantly, with Warridar coming online this week, the team is really excited about where we're headed. And we would love you to be part of our evolving story. So thank you.
Amanda, what a great presentation. Thanks for giving us an update. I've had a few questions, so let me jump into them. So in terms of the drilling season for next year, what period does this run over, and when can shareholders expect results?
Very good question. So we have only earlier this week agreed to acquire Warridar. But we would like to be drilling at Warridar this year if possible. I think there are no guarantees. There's a few things that have to play out, but we would like to be drilling at Warridar in Western Australia in November, December. It may be February. In terms of Big Springs in Nevada, we are working hard to refine the drill targets this year with a view to drill as soon as we can next year. But in Nevada, that's not until July, August that you're actually allowed to drill. So having Warridar, it gives us that immediate news flow in terms of drilling, with Big Springs close behind next year.
Thank you. And just the mineral resource estimate. So you mentioned that there would be an update. So what percentage upgrade are you targeting, and when are you expecting to announce this?
Good point. So that is in progress at the moment. We expect to have that 2022 update finished by the end of this quarter, so the end of September.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us again today. And a copy of today's presentation will be available online on brokerbriefing.com and on the Broker Briefing YouTube days in the coming days. But thank you for joining us again.
Thanks, Jane.